Yo, 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 what's good, fam? Your boy's back with the most mind-blowing
F.A.N.
Freaky ass.
You just make you want to do this.
Freaky ass.
That's that little toaster.
Freaky ass nigga here, 59.
most addicting, wait, did he just say that? Breakdown in hip-hop history. And what I'm about to reveal is gonna make you question everything you thought you knew about wordplay. We talking about Kendrick Lamar's "He a Fan" bar from Not Like Us, the line that didn't just diss Drake, it broke the whole internet's brain and created a cultural phenomenon that's still being decoded months later. Most people thought it was simple shade, but I'm about to show you 9 different layers of meaning that prove this is linguistic warfare at the highest level ever recorded in hip-hop. You think you caught all the references? Think again. What I'm about to break down for you is how Kendrick created an acronym that sounds innocent but carries a devastating insult. How he connected Beatles band songs to Fat Albert catchphrases to create a cultural web of destruction. And how he turned Drake's own Six God branding into sexual humiliation with surgical precision. We're talking about F.A.N. standing for freaky ass nigga, an acronym so clever it's like calling someone sir and then revealing it stands for sorry, I'm roasting. We're talking about cultural colonizer discourse disguised as a simple diss. We're talking about crowd control mastery that turned Drake's own label into a public chant of disrespect. And here's what makes this breakdown different. Every layer I reveal is going to show you how Kendrick didn't just write bars, he wrote a thesis on Drake's entire existence. From the phonetic analysis where he a fan sounds like he offend and he a phony, to the psychological warfare that makes it impossible for Drake to respond without looking defensive. This isn't just wordplay, this is linguistic surgery performed in real time with millions of witnesses. Kendrick took Drake's 6 God and flipped it to 6'9" God, turning a badge of pride into sexual humiliation. He referenced Future's original #1 fan quote and made it fact instead of fiction. He wove Beatles song history, Fat Albert implications, and cultural critique into 4 words that destroyed an entire brand. By the end of this breakdown, you'll understand why this bar is being studied by hip-hop scholars, why it created the most devastating crowd chant in rap history, and why Drake literally cannot respond without proving Kendrick's point. You'll see how Kendrick turned a simple insult into a cultural moment that redefined what's possible in diss track wordplay. If you're ready for the most high energy, evidence-packed, straight-up educational deep dive that's gonna make you appreciate the science behind the most savage bar in hip-hop history, smash that like button right now, hit subscribe because this is about to get controversial, and buckle up because we're about to dissect linguistic warfare that makes Shakespeare look basic. The 9 layers of He a Fan start right now, and your mind is about to be blown.
Hey Drake, I hear you like I'm young. You better never go to cell block 1. To any bitch that talk to him and they in love, just make sure you hide your little sister from them. They tell me trust the only one to get your hand-me-downs.
Let's start with the first layer, the acronym revelation. Kendrick didn't just call Drake a fan. F.A.N. stands for freaky ass nigga.
Freaky ass nigga here, 69 God.
Freaky ass nigga. Hey.
You a freaky ass.
F.A.N.
Kendrick created an acronym that sounds innocent but carries a devastating insult. This is next level wordplay. It's like calling someone sir and then revealing it stands for sorry, I'm roasting. Kendrick saying, you not just a fan, you a freaky fan. You the type to buy VIP tickets to your own roast. That's a roast and a TED Talk. But it gets deeper. Layer 2. Kendrick's calling Drake a fan of black culture. He's saying, you participate as a spectator, not a contributor. This connects to the colonizer thing throughout the song. Drake's out here borrowing accents, flows, and slang from every culture like he's at a hip-hop buffet. Kendrick saying, you not a chef, you just a customer. You not cooking, you just eating. That's a roast and a history lesson. Now let's get to layer 3, the Future reference connection. Future previously said, you a nigga #1 fan, dog. Kendrick's echoing that energy and reclaiming it as fact, not fiction. He's saying, even your peers know you a fan. You out here idolizing the real ones while pretending to be one. That's like being the water boy and thinking you're the MVP. Kendrick saying, "You not the sixth god, you the sixth god's biggest fan." And then the sixth god destruction. Drake calls himself sixth god for Toronto, but Kendrick flipped the 6 to 69, turning a badge of pride into sexual humiliation. The wordplay is surgical. Kendrick saying, "You thought you was the king, but you just a punchline. You went from 6 God to 69 God in one bar." That's like going from LeBron to Brian Scalabrine in one play. The disrespect is legendary. Now let's talk about the Beatles/Fat Albert cultural web. The "Hey, hey, hey, run for your life" has multiple references.
Hey, 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 run for your life.
He's not applying a Bill Cosby Fat Albert there, is he?
Hey, 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 run for your life.
First, the Beatles band song "Run for Your Life," a track about threats and jealousy. Kendrick saying, "You better run, Drake, because the culture's coming for you." Second, Fat Albert's catchphrase, "Hey, hey, hey," connecting to problematic figures like Bill Cosby. Kendrick's weaving a cultural web of implications. He's saying, "You not just running from me, you running from your own legacy, your own scandals, your own history." That's a roast and a pop culture masterclass. And the crowd control mastery? The OV Ho chant shows Kendrick's complete dominance.
OV ho, OV ho, say OV ho, OV ho, say OV ho, OV ho, say OV ho, OV ho, OV ho, OV ho, OV ho, say OV ho, OV ho. Niggas gon' say that.
Kendrick, stop!
This is a bomb.
He's commanding crowds to mock Drake's own label. This isn't just wordplay, it's psychological warfare that turns Drake's brand into a public joke. Kendrick saying, "You built an empire, but I turned it into a meme. You the only CEO who gets booed at his own concert." That's like being the principal and getting sent to detention. Let's talk about the technical genius. Kendrick's wordplay is so layered, it's like a hip-hop onion. Every time you peel back a layer, you find another punchline, another reference, another roast. The phonetic analysis? He a fan sounds like he a fiend, he a fiend, he a phony. Kendrick's using sound patterns to create multiple meanings. That's not just rap, that's linguistic warfare. And the cultural references? Beatles song history, Fat Albert/Bill Cosby implications, Future's original quote, Drake's sixth god branding. Kendrick's weaving all these threads together to create a tapestry of disrespect. He's saying, "You're not just losing a rap battle, you're losing your whole identity." That's a roast and a cultural critique. Let's talk about the psychological warfare. Crowd participation psychology in hip-hop. Kendrick's turning the audience into a weapon. Brand destruction through wordplay. He's making Drake's own label a punchline. Cultural colonizer discourse in rap. He's exposing Drake as a tourist, not a resident. Public humiliation tactics in diss tracks. He's making sure Drake can't show his face without getting clowned. And the comedy? Bruh, Kendrick's basically saying, "Drake, you the only rapper who could drop a diss track and end up with more fans in the crowd chanting against you than for you." That's like throwing your own birthday party and getting roasted by the clown you hired.
Oh yeah, he turned the whole LA up with this shit.
They not
Oh
like
my
us.
God!
They not like us. They not like us.
They not like us. They not like us.
He a fan, he a fan, he a fan. The first time people heard it, they were like, okay, Kendrick calling Drake a fan. That's cool. That's saying Drake is a spectator, not a participant. But then the acronym dropped. Someone on Twitter figured out that F.A.N. stands for freaky ass nigga, and the internet exploded. I'm talking nuclear meltdown levels of reaction. Twitter was going insane. People were posting like, wait, F.A.N. equals freaky ass nigga? Kendrick is a genius. TikTok was flooded with videos of people having their minds blown. You had people literally screaming when they figured it out. One video went viral of a dude listening to the song, and when he realized the acronym, he literally fell out of his chair. The reaction was physical. Reddit hip-hop forums were writing essays. People were breaking down the linguistics, the wordplay, the layers. One post had like 50,000 upvotes just explaining the acronym. People were studying this bar like it was the SAT. Instagram was full of memes. People were making graphics showing F.A.N equals freaky ass nigga with mind blown emojis. The cultural response was immediate and overwhelming. This wasn't just people saying, "Oh, that's a good bar." This was people having revelations. And here's what made it so powerful. It was layered. The more you thought about it, the more meanings you found. Hip-hop heads were saying, this is the most intelligent diss bar in years. They were comparing it to Nas, to Jay-Z, to the greats. Casual fans were saying, I didn't even catch that at first. They were going back and re-listening with new ears. Even people who don't normally listen to hip-hop were talking about it. Your grandma probably heard about the F.A.N bar. That's cultural penetration. That's when a bar transcends just rap and becomes a moment. Now let's talk about how the culture connected it to the colonizer theme. See, Kendrick had already called Drake a colonizer, not a colleague. That was devastating on its own. But when people realized he a fan meant Drake is a fan of black culture, not a participant, it all clicked together. The culture was like, oh, Kendrick is saying Drake is a spectator. He's watching black culture, not living it. Twitter threads were going viral explaining this connection. People were writing like, Kendrick is saying Drake is a tourist in hip-hop. One tweet said, Drake is like someone who goes to a museum and thinks they're an artist. That got 100,000 likes. Another said, Drake is the guy who watches cooking shows and thinks he's a chef. That went viral. The culture was unified in understanding what Kendrick meant. There was no confusion. Everyone got it. And people started bringing receipts. They were posting examples of Drake borrowing from different cultures. Remember when Drake had a Jamaican accent? Remember when Drake was doing UK grime? Remember when Drake was copying Atlanta flows? The culture was like, Kendrick is right. Drake is a fan. He's out here cosplaying as different cultures. Hip-hop purists were vindicated. They'd been saying this for years, and Kendrick finally put it in a bar. One older head tweeted, we've been knowing Drake was a culture vulture. Kendrick just made it official. That resonated with so many people. The generational divide collapsed. Old heads and young heads were agreeing. That's rare in hip-hop. Usually, older fans and younger fans argue about everything. But on this, they were united. That shows how powerful the bar was. It transcended generational differences. Now let's talk about the Future connection that had people going crazy. Future had previously said, you a nigga #1 fan, dog, on a track. And people remembered. When Kendrick said, he a fan, Kendrick is confirming it. People were saying, even Drake's collaborators know he's a fan. The irony was delicious. TikTok videos were showing Future's line and then Kendrick's line back to back. The validation was real. The culture was like, this isn't just Kendrick's opinion. This is what everybody thinks.
You ain't talking about me, dog. You? What?
Fuck Jay-Z.
You been on my dick, nigga. You love my style, nigga.
What's that? That's Soldier.
Shit.
That's my bar.
Shit.
He copied my whole fucking flow.
That's Kiss Me Through the Phone.
He copied my whole fucking flow. Word for word, bar for bar.
Oh,
don't act like I didn't make Drake, nigga. Don't do that.
Mind fucking blown.
Don't do that, nigga. Shit. I was son niggas in a heartbeat. Don't do that shit. Drake, Aubrey, the nigga with who I made nigga we made it with in 2014.
The culture was like, this isn't just Kendrick's opinion. This is what everybody thinks. And that's what made it so devastating. It wasn't just one person saying it. It was the consensus. Drake couldn't dismiss it as haters because even people he worked with were saying it. The culture was laughing. People were making jokes like, Drake's own friends are roasting him. One meme showed Drake looking sad with the caption, when even Future thinks you're a fan. That went mega viral. The humor was brutal but effective. The culture was using comedy to drive the point home. And here's what made it even worse for Drake. The culture was enjoying it. People were having fun with this roast. It wasn't mean-spirited in a cruel way. It was mean-spirited in a we're all laughing at the truth way. That's the difference between a diss that feels wrong and a diss that feels right. The culture agreed with Kendrick. Now let's talk about the 6 God to 69 God flip that had the internet in tears. Drake calls himself the 6th God because he's from Toronto, area code 416, the 6. But Kendrick flipped it to 6'9 God, and the culture lost it. Twitter was crying with laughter. People were posting like, Kendrick turned Drake's nickname into a sex position. The disrespect was so creative that people couldn't even be mad. They were just impressed. One tweet said, Kendrick really said, "You thought you was God? Nah, you just 69. That got retweeted into oblivion. TikTok was full of people screaming when they caught the reference. The reactions were priceless. And the culture started making memes. Drake's 6 God branding became a joke overnight. People were photoshopping Drake's album covers to say 69 God. The creativity was endless. Instagram was flooded with posts saying, "Rip to the 6 God. Long live the 69 God." The mockery was relentless. And here's what made it so effective. Drake had spent years building the 60 God brand. It was his identity. He had merchandise, he had tattoos, he had a whole aesthetic around being the 6 God. And Kendrick destroyed it in one bar. He turned Drake's badge of pride into a source of humiliation. The culture was like, how do you come back from that? Because every time Drake says 6 God now, people think 69 God. That's permanent damage. That's changing how people perceive your brand forever. Marketing experts were even weighing in. One branding consultant tweeted, Kendrick just did millions of dollars of damage to Drake's brand in one line. The business implications were real. This wasn't just rap beef, this was brand destruction. And the culture appreciated the strategy. People were saying, Kendrick is playing chess while Drake is playing checkers. Now let's talk about the crowd control aspect that had people shook. At the pop-out concert, Kendrick had the entire crowd chanting Drake's label. The culture was like, did Kendrick just turn 20,000 people into a weapon against Drake? Videos of the crowd chanting went mega viral. Millions of views, millions of shares. People were saying, this is psychological warfare. Because Kendrick wasn't just dissing Drake, he was making the culture diss Drake. One tweet said, Kendrick got the whole West Coast calling Drake's label OVHOE. That's generational disrespect. That resonated with everyone. The crowd participation showed that this wasn't just Kendrick versus Drake. This was the culture versus Drake. Hip-hop historians were comparing it to classic moments. This is like when the crowd turned on someone at a battle rap. The collective rejection was powerful. It showed that Drake had lost the people, and the culture was celebrating. People were posting like, this is what happens when you're not authentic. The message was clear. If you're fake, the culture will reject you, and they'll do it loudly. TikTok was full of people recreating the OVHOE chant. It became a trend. Even people who weren't at the concert were participating. The chant became universal. That's when you know you've won. When the culture adopts your diss and makes it their own. Drake couldn't escape it. Everywhere he went, people were probably thinking OVHOE. The psychological impact was immense. How do you perform when you know the crowd might turn on you? And the culture was aware of this. People were saying, Drake can't even do shows in LA anymore. The territorial aspect.
I'ma do myself. Why you pulling like a bitch, ain't you? Trying to strike a chord, and it's probably.
Kendrick had claimed the West Coast. Drake was banned by culture, not by law. Now let's talk about how scholars and academics reacted. Yes, professors were weighing in on this bar. That's how deep it was. Linguistics professors were analyzing the wordplay.
In the street can hate me, pump them all in they mama. How many options you really got? I mean, it's too many options. Been a crash on his body, I'm John Stockton.
Athletes were posting about it. NBA players were tweeting, Kendrick is different. LeBron James posted about the beef. When LeBron is paying attention, you know it's cultural. NFL players were using he a fan in their trash talk. The bar entered sports culture. Actors were referencing it. Comedians were making jokes about it. The crossover appeal was massive. This wasn't just hip-hop heads, this was everybody. Late night talk shows were discussing it. Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, they were all talking about the beef. That's when you know something is a moment, when it reaches mainstream consciousness. And the culture was proud. People were saying hip-hop is dominating the conversation. Even people who don't like rap were forced to pay attention. The cultural impact was undeniable. Musicians from other genres were weighing in. Rock artists, country artists, everyone had an opinion. The consensus was universal. Kendrick had done something special, something historic. And the culture was unified in celebrating it. There was no division. Everyone agreed this was genius. So let's bring it all together. How does the culture really feel about the He a Fan bar? The culture feels like Kendrick set a new standard for diss tracks. This is the bar now. The culture feels like this was intelligent warfare, not just aggressive warfare. The culture feels validated, like their suspicions about Drake were confirmed. The culture feels entertained. This was fun to watch and analyze. The culture feels educated. They learned about wordplay, history, culture. The culture feels unified. Old heads and young heads agreed. The culture feels like hip-hop is being taken seriously as an art form. The culture feels like authenticity won over commercialism. The culture feels like the West Coast is back. The culture feels like Kendrick is the undisputed king. And most importantly, the culture feels like this moment will be remembered. This will be in the history books. 20 years from now, people will still be talking about He a Fan. It's immortal. Alright fam, before we wrap this up, let me keep it real with y'all about something. After breaking down all these layers, all this linguistic genius, all this psychological warfare, I gotta ask, Drake, my guy, are you okay? Like seriously, bro went from started from the bottom to started from the bottom and somehow ended up under it. This man got roasted so hard, Kendrick turned him into an acronym, F.A.N. That's like getting your government name changed to an insult, bruh. And can we talk about how Drake probably had to Google half these references? This man's somewhere with his team like, yo, what's Fat Albert? Who are the Beatles? What's ayahuasca? And why does everyone keep saying 69? His Spotify search history probably looking wild right now. But yo, shout out to Drake's therapist though. That person about to get a raise after this beef. They went from dealing with regular celebrity problems to help Kendrick Lamar just psychoanalyze my entire existence in 4K. That's hazard pay territory, fam. And Drake's yes men? Y'all been real quiet since Not Like Us dropped. Where's academics now? That man went from Drake's the GOAT to, actually, let me analyze this ayahuasca suggestion. Even his biggest supporters like, you know what? Maybe therapy is a lovely start. But here's the craziest part. Kendrick really said, I'm not just gonna beat you in a rap battle, I'm gonna diagnose you, prescribe treatment, and send you the bill. This man turned beef into a wellness check. That's some next level petty right there. Drake somewhere right now like, I just wanted to rap, man. Why am I getting a psychological evaluation? Meanwhile, Kendrick out here like, rap battle? Nah, this is an intervention with bars. And the funniest part? After all this analysis, all these layers, all this breakdown, Drake's still gonna drop a response talking about his cars and his money. This man gonna be like, yeah, I might need therapy, but check out my new Lamborghini. Some people never learn, fam. But yo, real talk, if you made it through this entire breakdown without pausing, without getting distracted, without checking your phone, you might need some ayahuasca too. This was a journey, and y'all stuck with your boy through every single layer. So here's what we learned today. Kendrick Lamar is not just a rapper, he's a therapist with a microphone. Drake is not just getting dissed, he's getting a diagnosis. And hip-hop beef ain't just about bars anymore, it's about psychological warfare with a side of spiritual guidance. If you enjoyed getting your mind blown for the past however long this was, smash that like button like you're Kendrick smashing Drake's ego. Hit subscribe like you're hitting the therapy appointment Drake clearly needs. And ring that notification bell like you're ringing the alarm on cultural appropriation. Drop a comment and let me know, what's your favorite layer from this breakdown? Are you team therapy or team ayahuasca for Drake's healing journey? And most importantly, do you think Drake's gonna take Kendrick's advice or is he gonna keep being a fan? Until next time, keep it real, and remember, if someone ever breaks down your entire psychological profile in a diss track, just know that's when you really lost. Your boy's out. Peace. Mic drop.